without park, without checker flag. That's a fine. Awesome drive, man. Awesome drive.
It's nice to close out a race like that. That was awesome.
This is the Team Blaney Podcast.
All right, welcome everyone back for another episode of the Team Blaney Podcast. My name is Adam Rogers, and as always alongside me is co-host Steve Mez. If it's your first time listening to this podcast, it's brought to you by fans for fans. Steve and I have been following the Blaney racing family for 2 decades, and Team Blaney itself has been providing news, notes, and analysis to fans on social media since 2014. So go ahead and pull those belts tight and hang on as we throw the green flag on our recap of Ryan Blaney's run in the Enjoy Illinois 300 this past weekend at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. Steve, welcome back. Fresh off a triple header NASCAR weekend, though they were split. The Truck Series and Cup Series were in the greater St. Louis area at what a lot of people mainly know as Gateway, but is Worldwide Technology Raceway. And then out there in what friend of the podcast, Nicole, would call NASCAR Siberia, I believe. Yeah. They're out there at Portland International Raceway with the Xfinity Series. So the first time that the Xfinity Series has been up there, the first time a NASCAR National Series has been up in the, the great, it's not the Great White North, I think that's Canada, but all the way out there in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And it was exciting. I mean, the crowds across both tracks, Portland and Gateway, were out in full force. And even with the rain, I mean, I guess you expect when you go out up that way that it's going to get some rain for the Xfinity Series race, but it didn't seem like it deterred any fans from enjoying that track.
It totally helped AJ Allmendinger win. I hate to say that, but the one guy who's dealt with all the conditions and done all the road courses, went back to front a couple times. And
yeah, I think he said he even crashed before the start of the race.
Yep.
And that car looked like it was run at, Martinsville or Bristol by the time things ended. But yeah, lots of weird stuff happened in that. The leader, Ty Gibbs was the leader at one point, and he gets taken out by Jesse Iwuji, who was trying to get his position back, which I know that was a whole weird situation unto itself. So lots of interesting things happened out there. Congratulations to AJ Allmendinger, and congratulations to the fans up there who, they really needed to show some support for this race in hopes of it bringing back. I know the logistics for it aren't exactly great, getting all those Xfinity teams out there, but I know they do have a couple of off weekends right after this. So hopefully that will make up for that. Truck Series race, I mean, the racing all weekend I thought was great. Truck Series race was another great race, this time at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Corey Heim goes to victory lane after a late race restart, passing Christian Eckes, and there was this kind of a scary accident. We haven't really seen a real bad accident in a long time in the NASCAR National Series, but Carson Hocevar just gets drilled, I think, by Tyler Hill toward the end of that race, and people watch some of the social media video and stuff after that. That was kind of hard to watch. So hopefully Carson has a quick recovery. It seems like he has some ankle problems right now that they're working through. And then the big race, Worldwide Technology Raceway on Sunday with the Cup Series, the first time at this track. What were your immediate thoughts?
We're given a warning, 2 different warnings before the race. One is the tires. Goodyear puts out, statements every week, and everybody's told, hey, these teams are pushing the envelope. So we're already warned that there might be tire issues. And then the other thing was, basically, we heard during Friday's practice, Ryan said it's going to be tough to pass. He said it during the practice. And the truth is it was, it was somewhat tough to pass. But it showed off the skills of the drivers, and it ended up being a 1.5 lane raceway. And they were both the guys on the inside and the outside were basically battling over that half a lane in the middle. And it made for some really great racing, real door-to-door stuff that, it took 2 to 3, 4 laps sometimes running next to somebody before somebody had to give. And, somebody might've got it moved a little further outside their line, or somebody bobbled, so it made for great racing and great drama.
Sunday. Yeah, I don't take too many notes, definitely not the amount of notes that you do, but the one thing I had in my notebook was races like a short track. And I think it's everything we wanted to see at like Richmond and at especially Martinsville this year that we didn't get to see. So I'm not sure what it was about this track. It's just over a mile long. People were concerned because they were getting a lot of comparisons to Phoenix, and the Phoenix race this year probably wasn't the most exciting. But this worked out well. They, like, as you were saying, the drivers really had to work over a guy multiple laps and then either dive bomb or, run him wide or, trade some paint a little bit just to try to get by. And that made things a little bit exciting.
If you remember Martinsville, it was a downshift going into the turn, one downshift, and then upshift, in the turn. This time was there was downshifting, but it was totally different. It was two downshifts going into 1 and 2, and then back up, and then one downshift going into 3 and 4. And I think just the extra downshift, something was going on there. Some guys were executing it well, some weren't executing it well. And you saw some bobbling, based on that, and anything that varies a lap time by 2-3 tenths, makes a big difference. So, the whole combination of things really kind of made it interesting the whole day.
So why don't we go ahead and move forward with what we're here to do, and that's to give the fans a recap of Ryan Blaney's run, as we said, this past weekend in the Enjoy Illinois 300 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, right. Yeah, what we're here to do, because I was told I had a face for podcasts last week.
It's okay.
It's going to be all right. I'm working on it. So yeah, Friday they practiced for 50 minutes, which was really kind of cool. They went away from that whole split practice deal. And the first run out there, he did about 16 laps. He was P5 on his single lap, about half of 100th back, not a tenth, but a half of a tenth, 0.05. So that's how tight, things were. And the 21 was actually leading at that point. About 20 minutes in, they go back out. The 21, the 22 are out there with them. And the 4 has a left rear flat. The 16 hits the wall. The 15's on fire. That was fun to watch during practice. Poor Parker Klingerman. And I don't know if you watched that crew guy try to help the car. Did you see that at all?
Yeah, it was interesting, scary. I mean, it was a mixture of entertaining. I don't know.
Yeah, he was kicking the tailpipe. I don't know what that was about. Then he went around the front and decided he was going to try and open the hood. That was rather bright. I hope he didn't hurt himself real bad, but he dropped that hood pretty quick. But 23 minutes in, they're checking pit road speed. And this was kind of interesting about the track too. Pit road is not your normal dive in off a turn 4 type of pit road. They're coming in from like somewhere between, it's on the backstretch, coming off the backstretch more or less is an access road. They have to hit that access road, and it's a whole different turn basically coming to pit road, and you can still hit it at speed until you get to the commitment line. So this was kind of key that they did this like 3 or 4 times during practice. They came in and practiced how to come down that access road, so that they maximize their speed going to pit lane. Also coming off of pit road, same thing. You weren't coming off of pit road and going right up onto the track. You had to use an access road, which dropped you off coming out of turn 2. So,
and then once they finally got through that access road coming onto pit road, and then they did a pretty good job of explaining it on TV. One of the narrowest pit roads. I think they said the narrowest pit road on the Cup Series schedule, which for me concerned me kind of immediately, especially with what happened. I think it was Hamlin and Logano's crew last week, and the way they were kind of messing around, and Hamlin accidentally hit, I think twice. I think he hit a tire carrier and then also hit the right front changer for the 22 team, and just kind of some scary situations there. And then I'm like, oh man, we're going from that to a pit road that was, fairly accommodating down to this very narrow one that just barely fits 2 cars side by side out in the lanes. And said a prayer for some of those pit crew members that they'd make it through this race.
Yeah, qualifying ends up being key because you get better pit selection, 23 minutes in, though, there's 5 Fords at the top of the board, the 12, 22, 21, 14, and the 2. So all the Penske's, the Wood brothers are all up at the top there. 30 minutes in, Ryan's at the top of the board. And that was like 8 laps into his run that he popped that time. So we know that tire fall off isn't really going to be an issue if they're, later in a run running a good lap. like he said, about 30 laps he had run, and he told Josh it's going to be impossible to pass. Now that's just from what he's seen during practice, but like I said, things do change a little bit. 48 minutes into the practice, the 22 goes back out and sets the top speed. So they kind of like did a mock qualifying run right there with sticker tires. Ryan was, a 10th back. He'd run 45 laps, and the 2 car was it was P3. So, practice went really well for Penske. They definitely showed off the speed there.
Yeah, been a little while since we've seen the blue oval cars up front in practice. It's definitely been a few weeks, so that was good to see. And I mean, again, I mentioned Phoenix earlier being similar to this track. It kind of reminded me of, out there in Phoenix where, Ryan was super fast in practice, I think qualifying and in the race. Did he sit on the pole at Phoenix too?
That was one of them.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, all right, we're gonna have a decent race here, and maybe it's one of those weeks where the advantage has flipped to this manufacturer, and for a good chunk of the race, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Saturday morning qualifying, Ryan is in Group B, and when he's done with his round there in Group B, he's 4th. So he goes out for qualifying in a pole there. I think it was 5th there. He ends up 5th. Yeah. So the pole was the 14, and all the Penske's were in the top 10, and the 20, also the 21 car. So once again, all the Fords showing off there being in the top 10. What this does with, like I said, about pit selection, I don't know where I have this written down at, but his pit, I think, was the 4th pit stall on pit road. In front of him was the 7, and behind him was nothing. There was an empty box there, or however they've got that empty spot on pit road, whatever it is. So coming into the pit, his pit box, he doesn't have to worry. Coming out, he just have to go around the 7, but the 7 ends up disappearing, as I'll note in the race. And also, when you're up toward the front of pit road, and if you're up in the top 10 coming down pit road, you don't have to worry about the cars diving out of their pit stalls in your way. Just the couple cars you're dealing with basically in that top 10. So all these things, end up being a good thing for pit selection. And that's why you want to qualify in that top 10 best you can. We get to Sunday stages of 45, 140, and 240. 10 sets of tires, and they're saying fuel runs about 70 to 75 laps. Like I said, the 15, the 16, the 99 are going to the rear. He starts in 5th there, and at lap 3, he's up to 4th as he passed the 20 car. And at lap 11, he passes the 8 car, gets to 3rd. And at lap 27, the 14 had a flat left rear. And the 2 ends up leading at this point with Ryan in 2nd. And this stage, that's it. That's funny is that happens during the stage. Excuse me. And there's no caution.
Yeah.
They bring it in. We got no caution in the stage. We go around it all the way green to the end, and Ryan finishes 2nd.
Yeah.
Excellent stage.
Great way to kick the race off. And I mean, immediately to me, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, man, we're going to be done with this thing real fast. But the stages were weird. Like you said, this first stage is real short. Second stage is kind of medium long, and the third stage is much longer. So, I'm like, all right, we're going to have to make some more plans the rest of this night, because we're going to be out of here soon. And I know, it's only 300-mile race, or was it 300 miles or 300 laps? But either way, things were looking up from the beginning, not looking up for the 14 car, who was fast all weekend, led all of those laps all the way up until that tire goes down. And who knows, they were able to recover a little bit here for this race, but who knows what could have happened if they stayed up front.
Ryan asked for a little more stability, and they just say to tighten it up a number. Jonathan's talking about a slight air pressure adjustment. They're pitting in 2nd. They come out 2nd. So the leader is the 2. He takes the bottom. Ryan takes the top. We get the restart lap 52. And, Ryan, like I said, this is that whole thing on restarts where they're side by side. And as long as you can hold the outside line, the guy on the outside is trying to pin the guy on the inside down. The guy on the inside is trying to push the guy on the outside out a little bit. They're basically fighting over the lane that they would probably both arc into on each turn. And it really it was racy, it was great. But lap 56, he finally passes the 2 car, gets to first place. And at lap 58, the 18 moves up into second. And then at lap 64, the 18 brushes the wall. So, yeah. And they said something to him about the 18 was running higher and getting a little better lap times, but he says, yeah, I could run that way, but he's just saving his stuff. Yeah. And this is something like, that becomes a constant thread if you're listening to Scanner, is that they're basing a lot of things off of long runs. And Ryan is extremely good at a long run. And that's why I always like to hear about green flag pit cycles and things like that, because I think nobody gets more out of their equipment than Ryan does on these long runs. He seems to get the car in a good rhythm, run great lap times, save the equipment, and after 30 or 40 laps, be running faster lap times than everybody else because he's still got tires underneath him, as long as he doesn't have to race hard with anybody,
That's what won him the race last season at the old Atlanta configuration.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson was out dominating the entire day. Ryan on that last run there saved his tires and ended up going and passing the 5 car and getting that, I think it's that first victory of the year last year. So yeah, it's good when you got a driver that knows how to save their stuff.
Yeah. We get a caution. Yeah. When they can. When they don't have to race their way through. But we get a caution at lap 66 for the 1 and the 11 car. And this is where the fun begins. The wife really wanted to see something happen in the pits after this race, and it just didn't happen. But it should happen. It could have.
This kicks off a series of unfortunate events for Ross Chastain in this race, and also just entertainment wise, makes things entertaining the rest of the way. So I'm all for it.
Yeah. So they're right at the fuel window here. Jonathan talks and he says this is going to be a number 4. So they went and used different codes. They were using numbers and colors today or on Sunday. And a number 4 ends up being a 2-tire stop. 4 cars stay out on this, the 18, the 22, the 1, and the 9. And the Chusco, the 18 takes the top. Ryan takes the top. So he restarts at lap 70 and he gets himself to 4th. At lap 73, passes the 1 car and gets up to 3rd. Turn the page. And then at lap 75 here, Josh says the 7 went to the garage. So there we go. And then I wrote down in parentheses, good for pit road, because
easy in, easy out.
Easy in, easy out now. Don't have to play games with anybody, go in and around anybody. At lap 82, the 11 tries to return the favor to the 1. And this is where he tries to push him down on the backstretch. They never did hit, but wow, it was really just crazy.
And this is it. He's made his statement. He's got his message across, and we can move on, right?
No, not so much.
Okay. We'll revisit that later.
Yeah, I don't even know if something else happens later on, I'm sure. Lap 84. If it goes to the end here, he asks because the 22, the 18 did not pit. So if it goes to the end there, you got a couple cars that are going to have to come in and get fuel. So, he's looking at gaining positions, and then at lap 95, we get a flat tire for Ryan, the left rear.
And he was gaining too. He was, I think there was going to be a good possibility here. And the biggest thing I was worried about was damage. And initially I thought he spun and was clean and didn't make any contact. He did back it into the wall pretty hard, but I'm not sure what the difference is with these cars, but there was really only cosmetic damage. So he must have hit it in a sweet spot and was able to continue on and live to see another day.
Yeah. They pitted 4 tires and one first time, and then pitted again just to make sure they fixed any damage. This does put him back to like 31st, and Jonathan looks at the diffuser, says it's actually fine. The tail end of the thing for pitting too soon, which is fine because they're still in the lead lap, and that's all that really matters, at that point. So they restart lap 99, and he's up to 27th pretty much right off the bat. A bunch of cars lay over, get out of the way. At lap 100, we get a caution for the 9, the 23, and I think the 1 caused this. So this is the 1. Just, I don't know what he was doing.
I said, he ran through Denny in that first incident, and I thought this was more just hard racing. It was a 3-wide situation, and somebody had to lose, and the 9 ends up losing and spinning away. So I don't know. I could see this one, if this was the only incident the 1 had all day. it would have probably gone by without that big of a deal. But yeah, this is number 2 on the day, so he doesn't really get the benefit of the doubt anymore.
You know, I just an opinion on it. It's really strange for a guy who's won 2 races to be racing like this right now. I understand you want some stage points. I understand you want to win another race, but at this point, you've gambled hard and won races. You know, pushing people out of the way at Coda. You know, doing what you had to do, but you've got 2 now in the bag. I don't understand why you're racing like this now. You know, when it comes playoff time again, you want to get your elbows up and try to win one in each round of the playoffs. It's a whole different story. But right now you're in the playoffs and you're already accumulating points, you know, just, I don't know, just don't quite get it. So we get to the choose cone on this one, and Ryan is 25th for the choose cone, and the 34 is leading now. He stayed out and takes the top, and Ryan takes the top also. And I think the 9 and the 11 both take a swipe at the 1 at this point. You know,
this was a tag team matchup here. Yeah, the 9 goes up, runs him high. I don't know if he actually gets him up into the wall or not. And here comes the 11 saying, all right, well, I might as well take another swing too. But
take a shot at it.
As Denny kind of said, even after the post race, so I never hit him. I was just trying to annoy him a little bit or get in his way. But I never hit him. And it's true. He never did hit him.
Nope. We get a restart lap 106 here. By lap 107 is up to 23rd, lap 108, 22nd. Here we come up through the field here. Lap 110, 21st. Next lap, not up to 19th. Let's see. Lap 113, he's up to 17th. By lap 116, he's up to 15th. Lap 121, he says he's plowing tight. And then at lap 128, with a caution for the 23, who was punted by the 47. Not quite sure what was going on there.
And we just mentioned Denny. We mentioned Denny, and actually Denny after this goes up and bumps the 47 for wrecking his car. So this is one of these first situations. So you have Hamlin and Keselowski that are both out there as owner drivers. This has to be the first in my years of watching NASCAR, the first time I've seen another car retaliate for another car being wrecked. And I think it's, Denny and Michael Jordan are over there paying the bills, and Denny just kind of showed that he didn't really appreciate it. Plus, I think he didn't really have much else to do back there. So,
well, I think at that point, Bubba and Stenhouse Ricky were running for 28th and 29th or something like that. And Bubba, they kind of annoyed each other, but Bubba finally made the pass.
Yeah.
And so Ricky just decides to punt him for 28th place. That once again, know where you're at and what you're doing.
And actually it's something Ricky did multiple times at Charlotte, because he gave Ryan the bumper after Ryan passed him, slid up in front of him. He did it to a few people last week. So it might just be in his system right now to keep doing that every time he gets passed hard.
So they pit this time, and they were 15th going in, and I have 19th coming out, but the reality is a bunch of cars stayed out and it kind of changed the lineup. So they really didn't lose any spots. The 45, 5, 41, 47, 24, 31, 19, 10 stayed out. So he actually comes back out. He's 16th for the choose cone. The 45 takes the top, Ryan takes the bottom, which actually puts him in 15th. The restart at lap 134. And within a lap, Ryan's up to 13th. And I hear bottom of 4, which just makes me shiver when Josh says something like that, because you really don't want to hear that on any kind of shorter, smaller track. Lap 137, he's 14th battling the 4 car. At the end of that lap, he passed 34. He's up to 12th actually. At lap 138, he passes 24, gets to 11th. At lap 140, he does pass the 47, gets to 10th. And the 45 car wins stage 2. And Ryan, from a flat tire to 10th at the end of the stage. So it tells you how good the car was, and definitely how good the driver is.
I haven't been this excited for Ryan to finish 10th in anything since, I think, when he passed Austin Dillon to finish 10th at Richmond last year. I think that's when he got his first Richmond top 10. I think that's where that was. But I was pumped. I didn't think it was possible, especially with, as much as Ryan said it was difficult to pass and everybody else, and getting sent all the way to the back there. But it was just methodical the whole way through. Sometimes getting 2 cars a lap, sometimes getting 3 cars a lap, and then finding his way all the way back up into the 10th position, at least getting 1 stage point. That's a big deal. Finishes second in the first stage and then 10th in the second stage. And now it's like, okay, he's getting back up here. We got a shot. Fast car, super fast car. And I was optimistic.
Yeah. Now they do stay out here at the stage break because they pitted near the end of the stage. And there's a few cars in front of Ryan, but he gets up to like 7th with the 19 leading, and the 19 at the choose cone. The 19 takes top. Ryan takes the top. We get the restart at lap 147 with the 19 leading. By lap 149, he's up to 6th. By lap 153, he's past the 99, past the 20. He's up to 4th. At lap 165, he passes the 10 car. He's up to 3rd. And at lap 170, people aren't getting away here. Lap 170, 3rd place, 1.95 back of the leader. And watching the tracker the way I do, the lap times are like within a 10th. And Ryan, a lot of times it just depends on traffic or not. If he's running around, having to run around anybody, it takes a little longer on the lap. But when they're all kind of like in clean air behind each other, he's within a 10th and sometimes faster by a 10th. But then it's getting to somebody, whether or not you can make the run, get underneath them, and then start racing side by side. Once you can do that, you can make that pass. So we get a caution at that point for the 8 car at lap 182, and Ryan's in 3rd. And everyone should pit here. Ryan says tighten it up about a half a number. Jonathan says orange is the call here. So like I said, they used a color here for, I think it was a 4-tire stop, if I'm not mistaken. Something happened here on this pit stop, and there's something with the jack on the left-hand side. And that's all we really know. I'm going to kind of just at this point refer people to Stacking Pennies, another podcast, because Ryan Flores is on there, and he is the front tire changer now for Ryan. They've made that change a couple weeks ago, and generally he will comment or let you know what happened. All we know is something happened with the jack, and he went in 3rd but ended up 17th.
Yeah, regardless of what the issue was, like you said, we know it was something went wrong with the jack, whether it wasn't high enough, fell off, who knows. The result, man, is like taking a punch to the gut there, because you saw how fast this car was, how fast even, he went from, 31st all the way back up to the top 10, how fast he went from 10th to 3rd in this run. And it's like the race is falling right back into their lap. And then, yeah, that's all you can say.
So, yeah. So the restart lap 190 here with the 40 car leading, taking the top. Ryan takes the bottom. And where'd you see this on Twitter? There was a couple pictures of this, right?
Yeah. So you've mentioned them before. I think it's like Auto Racing Analytics. That's on Twitter. It's somebody that's kind of jumped in to kind of fill the void in some of this analytics stuff that some other reporters have done in the past. And I've retweeted it on the Team Blaney account, so you can find it there. But they basically broke down this restart. So Ryan, restarts 17th. And by the end of this lap, it's 10th. And
10th, yeah.
I mean, all I said was, this is nuts, because it was. I mean, watching it live, I thought, maybe he'll gain a couple of spots here and then keep moving up. But 7 spots in one go, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, he was on the bottom in 1 and 2. And I think by the time he got to the backstretch, he ended up on the outside in 3 and 4 and just going around everybody. Just like, got a great launch, got behind the right guy, got the clearing coming out of 2 to change lanes. And then, like I said, by the bottom of 3, but that by the end of the lap, 10th place, 7 spots on that restart alone. And there's 3 pictures on there that he put up. Then he's got, if you open up the picture and open it up a little bit, because he's got arrows pointing to where Ryan is in the picture. So you can kind of see where Ryan was and how he did this.
No in-car camera this week, but man, I wish that would have been awesome to replay.
I don't know what their deal is with all these different things. I know sponsors have to sponsor the in-car camera, but NASCAR, come on, just put an in-car camera in everybody's car and we'll buy it. I guarantee you I'll buy it. I don't know how much a year or subscription would be, but I probably would buy it. I probably would. I would rather watch in those situations, follow my driver. That's the way I would follow him. So come on, NASCAR, next year, let's do that. Let's stream all these guys in-car camera. Lap 191 there, he gets to 9th, 192 to 8th, 193 up to 7th.
Back in business is what I'm thinking.
Here we go. 195 up to 6. And you've got a caution at lap 201 for the 47. They're not pitting at this point. They've got only 12 laps on the tires. The top 15 cars stay out. Choose cone 18 takes the bottom. Ryan takes the bottom. We got a restart at lap 206. The 22 passes the 18 within this restart. Ryan ends up, still in 6, settles in there. Lap 208, Ryan does pass the 19 and the 43. We get a twofer all the way up to 4th. And at lap 215, he's in the 3rd at this point, and only 2 seconds back. 1.22 back at the lead.
And
So
you
he's only-
mentioned, you mentioned before that some of these times, the leaders weren't getting out very far, and it held steady.
Mm-hmm. And the only car between him and the 22 is the 10 car, and he's only at 2/10 back of the 10 car. So, we're just like, we're so close right here. It's just closing in on getting to the front. Staying green would have been great, to tell you the truth, but we do get a caution at lap 221 for the 41 car, and we're P3 and we're staying out. The leader is the 22. He takes the bottom, and Ryan takes the top. Now, this is the first one, and on this one, from what I heard on the radio, they didn't confer about who was going to do what. They asked Ryan what he wanted to do, and Ryan just said, "I'm taking the top." So he just felt on the restart on this one that the top was going to be the better idea. So we get that restart at lap 226, and he cleared the 10 car. The 18 takes the lead, and Ryan is up to 3rd. So, he held position. But then we get the caution at lap 236 for the 4 car. That's kind of big hit there for Kevin. Luckily,
Huge hit. Yeah.
He got out of it, and I guess he's probably a little sore Monday, but he'll be back next week. I mean, he's racing really well, even though their equipment is not necessarily the best. He's doing a good job picking up this new car. So we're staying out here, of course, for the green white checker that's coming. The 18 takes the top on this one, and the 22 takes the bottom, and Ryan takes the bottom on this one. The 45 is going to take the top.
This is kind of signaled to me, Ryan had to go from 17th all the way to the position that he was at, and that move signaled to me that he might be playing the teammate card here. So I didn't think he would take him 3 wide or anything like that. So I was kind of back into reservation, like, okay, I think we're looking at a top 5 now.
Yeah, one other thing was said on the radio at this point, and that was that he may have used his stuff up.
Yeah.
And this was what we were referring to earlier about running good, consistent laps, not being in traffic and so forth. To do what he did to make up all that ground in those first couple of laps of that restart, and then to get himself up to the top 3, passing, doing some real hard passing where you're running side by side with somebody 3 or 4 laps in a row, puts a lot of pressure on the tires, heats them up, and uses them up. And I think at this point he kind of realized that really the only thing to do at this point was to be somewhere where if something happens, you're out of the way. And I think the bottom is the best place on this type of restart, this type of track, because if something would have happened between the 22 and the 18, and I had my fingers crossed, I was really
definitely hoping. I mean, I thought at that point it was our only hope, really, just because
Yeah.
I didn't think he'd be able to get up there and pass them on his own,
but maybe they would knock into each other, and they would have washed up the track probably, and then Ryan would have shot right underneath it. Didn't happen. We actually had a great race for the win between the 2 cars. They didn't really bang each other or do anything crazy. Slide job, crossover type of thing. And the 22 does take the win, and Ryan finishes 4th. I mean, him and the 45 were door to door coming to the checkered, and the 4th got him basically by a nose. But pretty good race overall, really. I mean, I know a lot of people want to jump on certain negative things, but truthfully, they had speed to start the weekend. They had the speed during the race itself. And even though they had adversity, and everybody has adversity, that's the thing, is how do you fight back from it? Ross Chastain went through all the things he went through during the day and finished 8th.
Yep.
If that tells you anything about his speed and how to handle adversity. And Ryan had his adversity, and man, the kid can drive. It was so much fun to watch. You don't want to have to do it every week, but the way he came from the back to the front twice during this race, the flat tire, the pit road problem, and he just drove it right back up there because he knows that's where he's supposed to be, and he knows he has the car to do it. And he knows he can do it. That's the fun part, is when he makes all those moves on that one restart and gets 10 positions in about a lap. It's because he knows he has the ability to do it, and he's showing it off. So, I mean, it's really exciting and fun to watch. That's why I pay for the in-car camera, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that, like you said, I mean, it is disappointing knowing that they probably could have won this race. Maybe if things turned out a different way. It's all about execution. And we know, you know, this team won 3 races last year. Obviously, Jonathan Hassler is new on the box, but I mean, you know, they've been, as far as strategy goes and the calls that he's making and the cars that he's bringing to the track. I mean, Hassler to me gets an A+ so far this year. They've had the pit crew issues, and that kind of stung us again this week, but to me, it seemed more of like a fluke because, you know, they were solid all day long. They've been solid for the last several weeks. They were solid at the All-Star race that helped him to that, you know, that victory, even though it wasn't a points paying victory. There's going to be a point when everything clicks for this 12 team. And I have to say, people better look out. And, you know, the points race right now, you know, it's not that big of a deal for Ryan because he doesn't have that win yet. As soon as he gets that win, though, that points race is tight. He is just 28 points out of the lead. And, you know, I mean, every position is so important. Every stage point is so important. And I know we're about to spin it forward to Sonoma. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what a lot of these teams do this week, knowing how tight the points race is and how, you know, strategies and different things can play out on a road course.
Well, you know, the points race is interesting too, because what if he becomes the regular season points leader without a win? That actually bumps somebody, you know. If there were, let's say there were 16 winners and he wasn't one of the 16, but he wins the regular season point total, he would actually bump one of the winners, because there's actually
bonus points too.
Right.
Yep.
There's actually a provision for that. So, and he's got 4 stage wins already. So if he wins a race, he's already got 4 stage wins, and he gets 5 more for a win. Now all of a sudden he's got nine extra playoff points to start the playoffs each round. So yeah, let's just get this under our belt. But the great part about it is this, you know, we used to look at certain tracks and go, well, this track, this, and at that track, that, and we'll look at history on this, on Sonoma even. But the reality is every week now, the 12 car has the speed and the driver to win. Ryan can win at any one of these tracks. It does not matter anymore. He is that good a driver. He's not a specialist on any one type of track or one type of thing, or he's going to have to luck out or anything like that. He goes to Sonoma. He knows he can win Sonoma. They go to Nashville, knows he can win Nashville. Wherever they go, he knows he can win.
Yeah. Exciting time to be a Blaney fan, because I know, like I said, they're just on the cusp here of going on a roll. And what better week to start it than this week, as the NASCAR Cup Series heads back out west once again out to Sonoma Raceway this Sunday for the Toyota Save Mart 350. You can catch this race at 4 p.m. Eastern time on FS1 and on the radio with PRN and Sirius XM NASCAR radio. Road course racing. We haven't done this since we were at COTA a few weeks ago. And the Penske cars this year, I know last year some road courses were a little bit tricky with some brake packages and things that they were doing. But, you know, he had a really strong, you know, qualifying run at COTA and strong car at COTA. So I think that some of that can translate over to this next time. And I'm sure they learned a lot.
Yeah. The strong qualifying run at COTA.
Yeah, it might be just a little strong, just tiny bit strong.
Yeah.
All right. Better than everybody else.
Yes. So what's interesting this week is Sonoma, they've changed the configuration back to the old configuration. They got rid of that carousel, I believe. So they got back to the chute. And they got rid of a piece of curbing because they're worried about the car, you know, hitting that curbing. So I think everything is pointing upward towards speed and having speed and being able to get, once you get through turn 7 and you're heading back down the hill, you know, 8, 9, 10, you know, those kind of little S jogs.
It's a rhythm section.
You get, you get good speed, and there's like 2 or 3 good passing points back there too. So, you know, passing at the start is good. There's now like 3 or 4 good passing zones, where before under that other configuration, there's probably only like 2 good passing zones. So yeah, this should be real good week, because they're going to show off that they still have speed, which they showing every week now, and being able to pass somebody if they have to pass them, should be a lot of fun to watch.
Now let's take a look back statistically for Ryan Blaney at Sonoma Raceway. He's made 5 starts there dating back to 2016, 12.8 average start, 15.8 average finish. Honestly, that's kind of drugged down by his by 2 races here. His first start there in 2016, he finished 23rd, and then in 2018 he finished 34th. The thing to note about that 2018 race, he ran like 90% of that race without power steering.
Yeah.
And you talk about Ryan being an amazing driver, Ryan being tough behind the wheel is no joke. And I know earlier this season, I think it was Suarez broke on one of the road courses too. And it was just, I just can't imagine trying to wheel a cup car, even this new cup car, around a road course without power steering. It just has to be completely insane. So those 2 finishes kind of drug his statistics down, because his other finishes there are 9th, 3rd in 2019, and then 10th the last time we were there last season. And there was a year in there we missed Sonoma during 2020, just when the sport was coming out of the pandemic shutdown. So we've skipped a possible start there. So 15.8 average finish for Ryan, but 3rd and 10th his last 2 times there. And that's with the old car. We say it every week, like, oh, what did these statistics matter? Quite honestly, I think the statistics have translated. A lot of guys that have been good at certain tracks are still good at certain tracks. But as you said, this season specifically, he's good everywhere. So why not kick off this weekend with a victory at Sonoma, and let's vault back up to the top of the point standings.
Yeah, this is the road course is interesting because you have more than one spotter. I mean, Josh tries to take most of the track. I don't know. There was at least one extra spotter, Dave Nichols. They call him Mule. So he'll be helping out. I don't know if they'll have a 3rd one or not. I'd have to check with Josh, but they do at least 2 spotters here. And I think because they got rid of the carousel, it's actually gonna be a little bit easier for them to spot now. They'll be able to position themselves better. What's interesting about the especially Sonoma is the way the stages are broke up. But usually it's one of those races that the strategy will race backwards. They'll look to get within a fuel window, and then within a fuel window. And I think it was 2 to 3 fuel stops. So it kind of depends on if there's a caution or not, where the cautions fall. But you'll see guys that'll, especially with this tire, unless they change the tire totally. If there's not a lot of tire fall off, you're going to see guys just race to the fuel windows. All we're going to worry about is getting within the fuel window and then pitting, getting within the fuel window and then pitting, and not worrying about anything else for position. So if everybody does the same strategy, it'll look one way. But the thing is it never looks like that. You usually get 10 or 15 guys that try one thing, another 10, 15 guys that try another thing, and the rest of them try something else. And where the cautions fall near the end of the race and how those all come back together, that'll be the key to the whole day.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it. So again, if you want to tune in for this race this Sunday, June 12th, for the Toyota Save Mart 350 at Sonoma Raceway, the Cup Series is going road course racing, 4 p.m. Eastern time on FS1. You can also catch it on the radio with PRN and Sirius XM NASCAR radio. All right, Steve, it's time to jump into our fantasy racing recap. So we're jumping back to Gateway here. I know I had a lot of gloating last week and didn't exactly. And I had what I thought was a good lineup here. And it really was a solid lineup. But I think just some other folks really hit it out of the park. I think where last week, I had gotten all of the featured matchups correct, and I think I split them this time. But the one thing that we will note in a little bit is that we end up in, not just me, but people in our Team Blaney Discord chat were very quick to point out that you and I are now tied in the overall standings.
Yeah,
and as I said before, how the mighty have fallen, and here you are in the basement with me, even though we're not too bad. I think
we're not actually we're not in the basement.
We're not in the basement.
We're in the top 20,
top 25.
Top 25
we're
percentile.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
we're like Front Row Motorsports. We're doing okay.
We're getting there. We're getting a top 20 once in a while.
So let's take a look at who I had in my starting lineup for the Worldwide Technology Raceway, Illinois. Enjoy Illinois 300 at Gateway. Started Joey Logano, That was a good start for me. He goes on to win the race. Chase Briscoe was the pole sitter. Didn't work out as well for me, but I thought it was looking good. Ross Chastain, he came back to finish 8th, so that was okay. Kurt Busch, who edged Ryan for the 3rd position at the end of this race. And Ryan, I've mentioned all the time that I keep Ryan in the garage. First time this year, I think I've actually moved him out of the garage. Had Denny Hamlin in there. Hamlin had that very early issue with Ross Chastain, and Ryan vaulted back up into my lineup, and Ryan finishes 4th. So my guys here. So yeah, I thought I had a pretty good lineup with this, and I thought guaranteed top 10, but that didn't work out. Featured matchups, 10 points each. I picked Hamlin over Larson. That was incorrect. I picked Chastain over Byron. That was correct. I picked Bowman over Bell. That was incorrect. And I picked Reddick over Briscoe, and that turned out correct. So I split the featured matchups, had a really solid starting lineup, but it still wasn't good enough for me to end up in the top 10 here. So we had some talented fantasy pickers this week. Who did you have?
I had Denny in the starting lineup, and I did note to move him while I could. So I got him out of there.
There you go.
Yay. And that saved me probably another 3 or 4 points because it's Chase Briscoe that ended up in his place, which really didn't help me that much. I had Kurt Busch. Hey, pretty good. He had 44 points on the day. Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, and Tyler Reddick. So I had some guys that ran in the top 10. Pretty good points days. Got some stage points off of them. In the featured matchups, I had Larson over Hamlin. I had Chastain over Byron. I had Bell over Bowman. And then I missed the Briscoe. I had Briscoe over Reddick, and should have been, but that flat tire hurt him a lot more than it hurt Ryan. I don't know if it hurt his car more or whatnot, but he didn't run as well after that happened.
Yeah, not sure if it was just he was much better in clean air, kind of like qualifying and everything, but maybe once he got back into traffic and maybe just wasn't really sure what to do. Kind of an more inexperienced driver compared to Ryan. So yeah, definitely hurt them. And that concerned me because I kind of saw them and saw them stick back there, but luckily Ryan was able to overcome that. Now I mentioned some folks that really hit it out of the park this week with their fantasy picks. So why don't we go ahead and look at the top 10 in points earned from this past week at Worldwide Technology Raceway. And no surprise to me, again, I don't know what algorithm or way they choose things, but the defending champion in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League ended up with the most points this week at Gateway, with Clyde's Chicken Pit Racing in first with 241 points earned. In second, a member of the Discord chat, Blaniacal, 235 points. In third, Factory of Sadness 6. They've really been picking up steam this season, 232 points. In fourth, Blaney Kicks Beep, with 225 points. In fifth, I think it's a couple of new names here. Blaney or Bust, 221 points. In sixth, Bud King, 218 points. In seventh, Rogue Tough with 217 points. In eighth, Cool Guy 2K, 215 points. In ninth, the Dalai Lama 4, 210 points. And rounding out the top 10, Moose Hunter 1960, 209 points. So a lot of folks in there have been consistently good all season long. I just got to figure out what they're doing because I really only have some flashes of brilliance here. So I was saying I had a pretty decent week, 199 points in 23rd position. Not too shabby. And I'm not sure where
I had 180.
Yeah, there you go.
185.
185. So you weren't that far behind, but you go from I'm in 23rd to you in 39th. So a ton of people there with 185, 186, 191 hanging around there in points earned for the week. But let's go to the overall standings and see where things stand. So we now see, again, the defending champion, Clyde's Chicken Pit Racing, has taken over the top spot with 2,873 points. In second, Math Mom 4, 2,864 points. Third, the Dalai Lama 4, 2,833 points. In fourth, Eric D15, 2,811 points. In fifth, Moose Hunter 1960, 2,808 points. Sixth, Frygao 12, 2,793 points. In seventh, Blaney Kicks Beep, 2,791 points. In eighth, Bulldog 0277, 2,786 points, just one behind. In the ninth position, Two Bushes No Johnson, 2,785 points. Rounding out the top 10 is Blaniacal, 2,773 points. And as it was pointed out to us, and I don't appreciate the fact that they've put you on top, even though we're tied. I'm sure there's some sort of weird tiebreaker involved there, but
alphabetical.
Okay, I guess. Mez 12 and Team Blaney host Adam, 25th position, tied 2,622 points. And as I said in the Discord chat, I got you right where I want you.
Yeah, you do actually.
And let's see how this goes.
Knowing that you have a bunch of Ryan usage up still that you have coming. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You're in a good spot right now. Congratulations for now.
So we're going road course racing this week at Sonoma. I think I'm going to keep Ryan in the garage or in my lineup. Anybody special? You got the Chastains that have been good recently. You've got Suarez, who won the first stage at Coda and had some issues that sent him to the back, and he got some damage. And like I think I was mentioning the power steering issue at the end of that race. He was good. Truex is due for a win. He's been good on road courses at points. Hamlin's won on a road course before, I think even at Sonoma. So is there anybody? Chase Elliott, I don't know why I haven't even mentioned Chase Elliott, who only won on road courses last year.
Yeah. Austin Cindric.
Oh, that's right. Teammate.
Austin. And then AJ Allmendinger.
Yep.
Or Allmendinger. AJ, only runs a handful of cup races, but this is one of those places where, once again, the experience shows. And the thing is bringing in ringers anymore to run road courses really doesn't affect the cup guys that much anymore. Used to 25, 30 years ago, you'd see a road ringer come in and, teach them a thing or two and show them how, now these guys all do enough simulator work. They all know how to run these tracks. They all know what they need out of the car, how to get the adjustments they need. And, but a guy with that kind of experience, he's sometimes it's just the experience he has that makes him tough to beat. He knows how to bury that car into the corner sometimes and beat you under braking. Whereas certain guys are looking for passing zones. Every zone is a passing zone for a guy like him. So
yeah, and with his win this past weekend at Portland, he became the all-time winningest driver on the NASCAR National Series level when it comes to road courses. I forget 10 or 11 wins or something in his career. And he could have had that victory at Coda. He's battling with his former colleague teammate, Ross Chastain, who got the better of that. The other person to look out for that's probably one of the most improved on road courses was the other guy involved in that battle, which was Alex Bowman. So wouldn't be surprised to see any of them. Kyle Larson, strong there. Pretty much any of the Hendrick drivers too. I don't know, like you were saying, just everybody seems like they're pretty much good now.
Yeah. Just to go back to something from last weekend and coming into this weekend too, because the trucks are going to race Friday night or Saturday night. I'm sorry. And it's Saturday night, our time, Eastern time, like 8 o'clock or something like that, which is still daylight out there, 4 o'clock. But Zane Smith drove in the Cup Series in the 17 car last weekend. And I haven't heard anything yet. We always record this on Tuesday night. It comes out Wednesday. Anything can change, but it was protocols for COVID that kept Buescher out. So who knows? Maybe again this weekend we could see Zane Smith in that 17. But definitely, you're going to want to watch the truck race on Saturday night also, because Saturday night, first off, really cool, 8 o'clock. But we follow Zane because Josh Williams is his spotter in the truck series, and the trucks should be really good on the road course here. I don't know the last time I saw the trucks run there. Have they run there in the last couple of years?
They have not been to Sonoma in a long time. But speaking of Zane, he won at Coda, right? Wasn't he the beneficiary of I think that late race mayhem that happened there, and he scooted through and got Josh Williams another victory.
Yes, he did. So, he's a guy that can win on the road course too. So, in the truck series at least. So, a lot of good things to look out for on Friday and Saturday night. Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. What is the qualifying for this weekend and practice? Do you have that handy there?
I do. The only thing that always messes me up with my source here is sometime I feel like it's in local time.
Oh, okay.
But practice is going to happen Saturday afternoon. It says here on J-Ski 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. I'm not sure if that's local time or our time here. And then
that's local.
That's what
local.
I figured. So it'll be a little bit later on Saturday evening. So leading into the truck race is probably where this is going to happen. And then following that, you're going to have qualifying. A and B. I'm not sure which group Ryan is in just yet.
Yeah, they haven't announced that yet,
but I'm hoping, again, like we do every week, he at least makes it into that top 10, goes into that second round and just get a guaranteed top 10 spot, and then see where we can go from there. I know Coda is pretty chaotic with that first turn. Sonoma, that has its points, but I don't think we're going to see as much chaos as we usually do.
Well, and going up the hill and coming up turn 1 on the restarts, going up the hill and then going toward the right-hander at turn 2, you do see a little bit of chaos because they're too wide going up the hill. But after you get to that bridge and you go up underneath that bridge and you make that right-hand turn, you got to kind of get it down to one lane going into that turn. So you will see some chaos going up the hill on restarts. And then there's always turn 11, just going back to the track itself. Because we had I don't know who was last year or the year before, somebody got punted, went right through turn 11, went short. It was Chastain, I think, shortcutted.
I think it was. Yeah.
And then nobody called him
no
on
call.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No call.
So there's all kind of goofy little things that can happen. The pit road is really kind of weird because the pit road is on the left-hand side going into turn 11, where they come up underneath and around turn 11 to the pit road, and the pit road has a bend in it depending on where you're pitting. So like I said, there's all kind of interesting things to watch this weekend, and so I think it's 4:30 for practice on Saturday and 5:30 for qualifying Eastern time, and then the race is Sunday at 4 Eastern, which is pretty cool. Not too late in the afternoon, but I mean they're on the West Coast time, so that's 1 o'clock in wine country there.
And I'm looking forward to it. One other thing before we call it quits for the day, just wanted to mention this came out just after we released the podcast last week. A familiar sponsor is going to be on both Ryan Blaney and Dave Blaney's cars in the SRX race that's coming up in July at Sharon Speedway. And it's going to be Body Armor. So a longtime sponsor of Ryan. Is going to be on the car for both him and his dad for this dirt race at Sharon Speedway that I know a ton of Blaney fans are looking forward to, and a ton of Blaney fans are making the trip to Ohio for the first time to Sharon Speedway for this race. And I know Steve's going to be there. We've been talking all along. He wants to get some sort of a tweet up going on, or just at least some kind of meet and greet.
Yeah.
He's probably going to, I won't guarantee t-shirts, but I can say Steve's probably going to have some t-shirts under his arms and pass one or two out, maybe.
Sure. I have a couple. I always try to have a couple. I passed a couple out in Charlotte, so I got to make a couple more. But we'll make a couple more between now and then. The commercial for the little commercial, the announcement that they had. If you haven't had a chance to go back and find it, please do. I know that you tweeted a link at one point, so back through the Team Blaney Twitter. It's hilarious. That's all I can say is that Ryan's talking, and then all of a sudden his dad pops into the frame and doesn't say a word.
Nope,
and just
doesn't say anything, but it's great.
And then steals the whole thing just by the look on his face. But yeah, it's great to have Body Armor on the car. As you can see, I pointed to a couple different Body Armor hoods. They've got, they're a great sponsor. They really are. It's a really incredible company. If you've ever had any of it, it's awesome stuff. And the Body Armor Edge is the caffeine drink. So it's, it's been a great sponsor to have, and it's great to see on the car. The SRX cars are really cool to begin with, the way they look and they're designed. So it's going to be great that night, Sharon Speedway, to see two of them out there on the track.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what they're at ticket wise. I can imagine that they might be pretty close to sold out on, at least for their, the reserve seats, but I know there's some standing room only stuff that you can get to. So if you've never been to the Blaney family's home track, the track that, they've owned since I think around 2002, along with another group of local investors up there in the Northeast Ohio, Western Pennsylvania region. This is their track. This is going to be a showcase for Sharon Speedway. It's going to be on national television with CBS. You're going to have Ryan and Dave, Chase Elliott, Tony Stewart, I think Ryan Newman, all these guys and more, champions from, open wheel racing, NASCAR and beyond are all going to be there. And I'm so very excited for this race coming up. And as you just said, thank you to Body Armor for stepping up and sponsoring both Blaney's for this race. And let's see if they have to duel it out there for a victory. And we'll cheer them on regardless of what happens. So I want to thank you once again, everyone, for tuning into this episode of the Team Blaney podcast. If you would like to learn a little bit more about myself or co-host Steve, just check out our debut episode from our very first season that dives deep into our Blaney fandom. You can interact with us on Twitter and Facebook at Team Blaney and on Instagram at team.blaney. And finally, we want to encourage you to support the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation. This organization, championed by Ryan and his family, supports causes like the Alzheimer's Association and UPMC Sports Medicine through their Fund to Fellow program. You can find out more about the foundation online at ryanblaneyfamilyfoundation.org or on all of their active social media channels. And Steve, some news came out this week in the I don't want to say aftermath or wake, but after the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation Driving for Good event that they had at Charlotte that we were lucky enough to attend. But some good news on the fundraising front. And I think
there was a 200,000 they raised.
Yeah, I think it's more than $200,000 that they raised,
which is awesome. We're just so glad we were able to be there, help out with whatever we could. And we always try to help whenever they want anything or need anything that we can do and we can help with. We're more than glad to do that. But it was great to see it be such a great success. Hopefully it's something that becomes an annual type thing. That'd be really kind of cool to see those people get together every year and do that kind of thing. I know it's a little bit, it's not quite like a golf outing,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what kind of made it cool because, you could be a serious person there, but you didn't have to be a serious golfer to be there, and so, yeah, I was congratulations to them. I mean, kudos for doing such a great job, great event. And hopefully it was everything they were hoping to get from it,
Yeah, definitely big kudos to them. We just mentioned Body Armor. They were a sponsor of the event along with several other of Ryan's sponsors who, as I said, that's kind of the amazing part is that all of these partners and people step up to support Ryan and his causes and in this specific event, supporting UPMC Sports Medicine through their Fund to Fellow program. That's been one of the main missions of the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation. So for my co-host,
one thing here with the podcast, we put this out on YouTube last week. And yes, so hello, how are you?
Some of you can see us.
I would love for you to interact with us. Let us know what you thought. We'll do anything we can to try and improve it a little bit. We're just two guys and we try to do some visual things. I know if you're paying attention, you saw me doing a little, check it out, look at my background, look at this or that. But the big thing is subscribe to it. Then if you like the YouTube version, go to Team Blaney on YouTube and subscribe to it. That way you'll get a notification when you get it. The more subscribers we have there, the better, better it'll be for us to know we're interacting with more people. And we'll keep doing it this way. You'll still be able to get the podcast, all the other places that you get a podcast or download a podcast. We've already been set up that way for a year and a half now. And, those who like to just listen to the car or whatever can do that. But we got good response last week from just putting it out there. And Adam only posted a couple different places on Team Blaney's, Facebook and YouTube once, Facebook and Twitter once or twice during the week. And we got a ton of people watching and it was really encouraging. It's kind of a cool thing to do. So if you are one of the people that watched last week and you're going to watch it again this week, hit the subscribe button. Let us know that you're watching and you're going to watch every week so that we know you're there. Also interact with us at all the different social media points, Team Blaney itself, on Twitter, Adam and myself are on Twitter and on Facebook. Drop us a message, drop us a line, let us know that you like it. And some of the things we can do to help it even be a better experience in the future. We're all for it.
Yeah. We're just trying to reach as many possible Ryan Blaney fans as we can. So share it with your friends, share it with fellow fans, share it with your family, share it with anybody. We'll take it. But hopefully you're enjoying some of the new stuff we're doing. Doing the video in the first place is just because we got some requests from people that kind of surprised me that wanted to see us on YouTube. We'll work on getting some guests in the future like we've had in the past, and then we'll actually be able to see them, which will be even better, so we'll see where that goes moving forward. But thank you everybody so far for the support. So for my co-host Steve Mez, I'm Adam Rogers. We'll catch you next time right here on the Team Blaney Podcast.
Good night, Brussels. Good night, Dublin.